E3 came and went. I want to say it was. I think overall, you said before the sponsorship portion that people didn't seem that excited. It seemed like there was some manufactured buzz. It was like holy shit, but it was like, yeah, there's some cool stuff here. It wasn't like the worst E3. I'd put it like in the middle somewhere.
No, it wasn't the worst, but I really do feel like a lot of my friends were trying very, very, very hard to be more excited than they were. And I that's understandable, but holding on to this notion that E3 matters, and we'll get to that later, it's over. I think it's just over.
It's over.
I mean, a lot of the stuff people even wanted us to talk about tonight about E3 was stuff from last E3.
Like Last
and
Guardian.
the E3 before.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't have anything more to say about it. We can't do a segment on it. E3's gotten to the point where a bunch of two dickwads like us can't even talk about something for 3 to 4 minutes because it's been said before. This is not, I mean, E3 used to be your huge info dump every year, and that's what you looked forward to, and now it's all just trickled out year round.
Sure. So let's start with Microsoft and, revealing 14 different Xbox consoles.
This is the most confusing part of E3, I think, so
even
far.
one of the articles I read was wrong about what these are. Let's start with the Xbox One S. So the Xbox One S is, they did it with the 360, where they had a slim version that came out. It's the same thing. Xbox One S is basically slim.
Yep.
The first version is going to come out in August. Originally, they said that was going to be a $299 one, but another article I saw said that no. The first version coming out of the Xbox One S in August is going to be $399. That's going to be the 2 terabyte hard drive version. Then the later ones, that'll be 1 terabyte and 500 gigs, will be later in December, and those will be probably $299 and under. So what the hell is the Xbox One S, and will it actually matter? So the Xbox One S is going to have the same exact... It's basically the Xbox One guts.
Correct.
It's just 40% smaller, the console, so they managed to shrink it with a shrink ray, I think. I think they said it at E3, they use a shrink ray.
Yeah.
And then the power supply will be internal.
Which is nice because those things are fucking huge and expensive.
Does that mean there might be too much heat in there, though?
It's a
Overheating
possibility, which is something that concerns me. Anytime a system goes slim, I mean, you can go good or bad. With Microsoft, I'm always worried about overheating issues, and this is one of the first times. I think this is the first time, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time since the original Xbox that Microsoft has put the power brick or the power supply inside of the system. That worries me. Now, from a retail standpoint, the Xbox One hasn't been coming in with a whole lot of overheating issues, but damn if this couldn't possibly cause them.
Well, you think that they would have learned their lesson after the cheap production run of the original Xbox for the first couple years of Xbox.
And that had an external power
360.
supply.
Yeah, and it still has so much heat. All right, so let's talk about what is the One S going to have. The One S is not going to have 4K output.
No.
It will have 4K Blu-ray output, though, for movies.
Okay.
So if you're into the Blu-ray scene, that's good. But for gaming, it won't. It's going to have HDR. So what HDR is in a nutshell, it's better color contrast. It looks more realistic. You guys ever hear of contrast ratio?
Yes.
It's basically what is the range of colors in the spectrum from black to white. I'm really butchering probably this. What's the analog, I guess gradient?
Sure.
How wide is it? How many different types of reds are there versus types of blues versus, what I mean? So this ups the ante there. So it will look better. It won't be sharper, I think. See, because HDR is even sort of confusing. It's like, and plus your TV's going to have to support it. Because if the contrast ratio of your TV doesn't match what this is going to put out, the Xbox One S, what's going to be, it probably won't matter.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's something people seem to forget is that if you buy higher end tech, but the tech you're running it through isn't compatible with it, you're not going to get any benefit out of it.
It's garbage in, garbage out, basically. Yeah. So in that respects, is it a game changer? No, it's nice. It looks like it's going to come with a controller that's going to be sort of a smaller, better version of the controller, from what I see. And HDR stands for high dynamic range, by the way. But yes, performance is not improved. So, if you don't have an Xbox One, you can hold off until August, or wait for the price to drop once that comes out.
Here's my issue with that, though, and this is... So, we have, for $399, a smaller version with its main benefit being this high dynamic range that maybe not everyone can take advantage of.
And 4K Blu-ray.
And 4K Blu-ray.
If anyone has them.
For $399, you can get an Xbox One for about $250 to $300 right now.
New?
No, I think they're like $250 to $280 used. You can get them new for, I think, $300 to $350. I'd have to double check that. Luna doesn't deal in a whole lot of new consoles. Paying $399 for a smaller model, even with 2 terabytes, that seems... I don't know. That doesn't necessarily appeal to me, and here's the reason why. At $299 initially, when people talked about it, that actually might have been something that could interest people. $299, smaller, slimmer, some newer features, sounds like a decent price, but you're not getting that until Christmas. Now, here's the issue: at Christmas time, when you can buy this $299 model, we're a year away from Microsoft's other big announcement, which is Project Scorpio. Now, Project Scorpio to me sounds like a beefier version of what PS4 is doing with the Neo. The Project Scorpio is a beefed up Xbox One, 4K output, 6 teraflops of
Power,
of
or whatever
flopping,
the fuck it is.
of flopping, VR ready outside of the box with a a partnership with Oculus Rift.
Because remember, to do proper VR, you need a lot of computing power.
Yes, exactly. So, to me, this reminds me of the situation where Nintendo released the DSi and the DSi XL moments before they announced the 3DS, which is kind of probably how Microsoft wanted to do it, but it got leaked. And I feel like what they're doing here is
Well, they had a video at E3.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to focus on it, I don't think.
But I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. Why put all this effort into a remodel of a system that is only technically going to be cheaper, or like, I don't know, I guess budget priced for a year once the $299 model comes out, when an even better model is coming out a year later? This is extremely confusing to me, and I honestly don't know what they're going for here.
It's not only strange, it's not good business sense to say that, it's kind of like Nintendo saying they don't want to say that the NX is going to take over for the Wii U, but here you have to say that Scorpio is going to take over for at least the Xbox One. You'd think that it's going to be next year, 4 years after the Xbox One is launched, correct? By next December, it'd be 4 years.
Yes.
So that's the, maybe 2/3 through a typical Microsoft console lifespan. 4 years, usually like 6. So at that point, you might as well say then we're going to cut our ties, but it sounds like the games coming out in the Scorpio will still be supported by the Xbox One.
Right.
They're going to have to be.
This is what I also was going to say. What the Scorpio seems like, and on a power level, I'm going to admit I don't know everything here, but the Scorpio seems to be an answer to the PlayStation 4 Neo, which we're not going to talk about in a lot of detail.
And E3,
there was nothing, and we had talked about it prior. But that comes out this fall. And it sounds like it's doing the same. The Scorpio is going to be doing the same sort of thing. Increased power, but everything is going to have to run across all the platforms, which means that the games are going to have a mode that will take advantage of the Scorpio's power.
If they're programmed for it.
If they're well, at least with the Neo, everything has to have an optimized Neo mode in there. How they'll handle it with, like, Sony won't allow special features. We'll see what Xbox does. They're releasing this almost a year and a half after the PS4 Neo will be out. I don't know. It just seems...
It's like this, hopscotch, not scotch, like frog jumping each other. We have the more powerful console now. We have it every year now.
But a year and a half later, how much is it going to matter? Because we have to remember, a year and a half later is just so much further into the console generation that this constant reiteration with more and more power.
There's no more generations.
There's no more generations.
It's over.
And I'm going to talk about this even more. You've basically just admitted that your consoles don't matter and everything is going to be taken. This is a PC.
Who has more horsepower? That's what's going to matter.
Right.
Who can run these games bigger and badder? Scorpio, Xbox had this promo video with these developers saying, "Oh, this is going to give us the power to do whatever we want," and blah blah. I feel like saying, "Yeah, that's great, but what about all the millions of people that have the inferior version? You have to make sure they can play your game too, because they're promising that you're going to have to do that. Obviously, they're going to cut the chain at some point, or cut the wire off, or whatever."
Either you effectively destroy and split your fan base, or you admit that console generations, even if they have the same name, have gone from 8 years to 2 years.
But these Microsoft people basically admitted that it's not about generations anymore.
No, I know, but that's very strange to me, and that goes into, well, we'll get there, but with the cost of consoles, it no longer makes sense. It's like Microsoft is actively, with these decisions, trying to push people away from consoles so that, I don't want to sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist here, but so that they can gracefully exit the console realm and focus on Windows 10.
Or they're trying to squeeze as much blood from a stone by doing this, realizing that, hey, this could be our last hurrah with the Scorpio.
No, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, this is it. This is it. We're going to push it. We're going to say right now, before people can criticize us, that we're treating this like a PC, and then we're going to gracefully bow out.
That could be an approach. Because at this point, can you afford not every 3 years to spend $400 or $500 on a new console? Basically, that's what it's going to be.
When you could do that with a PC for a fraction of cost with incremental upgrades.
Or the same cost, and then it'll be good for like 5, 6, 7. It'll be good for longer.
A console generation.
Yeah, or, well, it used to be console generations, but not anymore. Now they're just like, I don't know what they are anymore. But I just think it's not shocking. I called it beginning of this generation. This was it. I mean, it has to be, because now they're basically saying they're computers. They're coming out and basically saying it. So I think what's going to happen is, to me, it's going to come down to just price point. I also think it's interesting that Microsoft is banking on this VR out of the box bullshit, because they're banking on that not being a gimmick, and I'm still not convinced it is going to be a niche product gimmick still, unless it's going to be something used by at least 40% of the people. Don't base your console's hardware around it, or tout that as a major selling point. Because look what happened with the Kinect. Did anyone utter the words Kinect at E3?
I sold one today.
You sold one today?
An Xbox 360 Kinect. Guy was real excited. We sold it to him for $10.
Because remember the Xbox One, they touted it as being this, this media box machine, till they realized that no one wanted a game console for that.
That is
something else.
That's something else that they are putting in the One S, I believe, is instead of like a Kinect, they've hilariously added a feature, some sort of thing that will allow you to control your TV without using the Kinect, because everyone's using their Xbox Ones right now to control their cable anyway.
That engineer team's really pushing for that to come back, because that really did gangbusters 4 years ago at E3. But the other weird thing is just that, remember when the Xbox One came out and had that disastrous E3, whenever it was 3-4 years ago before it came out.
The only year where I can say, because I hate this win-loss thing, but it's the only year I can say someone clearly lost in E3.
I hate using that as well, but they got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that was insane.
When you have to do a turnaround at the E3 event within a day, and so no, we're getting rid of all that DRM bullshit, and yeah,
we're sorry,
but the Xbox One was less powerful than the PS4, not by a lot, but enough that people can notice it a little bit. So now this is their response that's saying, oh, now we're going back, we're going away from this other horse shit and back to power. That's the most important thing on the console. That's the most important part of the experience. Well, we'll see if it works for them, because the Xbox One, lagging in sales to the PlayStation 4. I just think the consumer is going to lose here. I think overall, just because I think people are going to get screwed this Christmas. They're going to end up buying this One S or Slim. It's the fucking One Slim, and then they're going to ask for it again the next Christmas. Mommy, Daddy, I want the new Xbox. We just bought you one last year.
Yeah,
that's going to happen to 1 million people.
Yep, because not every
'Cause they're not gonna
consumer
do
is
the
going to be
research.
informed. They're not
Yeah.
going to do the research. I'd say wait the 2 years and see what happens. At least so far with what we know about the Neo, it seems like kind of a one and done thing, and even that I'm not huge on. But
And then plus you're going to get into that situation where it's going to be like, yeah, it's like having an old PC where, hey, if you want to play that new game, you better run it on medium settings,
right,
or else you put on high, you're going to get like 20 frames a second playing that Unreal Tournament 2004 like I used to get, where it's like, ooh, I got to turn that all, bring those sliders down.
right.